Okay.
It was just like sometimes I just feel like we lose the game from the lanes. I feel like my lane's really good, so or it's not really good, but you know, I
Better
think
than
it's
what your
decent.
MMR is, maybe?
Yeah, I definitely know that for a fact. So I just need to like, I don't know. I just want you to tell me what's wrong because I'm obviously doing something wrong.
Okay. Gotcha. So I definitely think starting the game AFK is a bad thing. Very bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Not like to be obvious, but like that first like minute can be pretty decisive in terms of who has ward control and all that kind of stuff. So I think like when you buy items on any role, you need to know what they're for. So like at first I saw 2 sentries and I was like, why the fuck does it have 2 sentries? But then I see Ricky, right? So the idea for me is if I have 2 sentries against Ricky, one of them's going mid, and the other one is like because that also simultaneously might deward a mid low ward, and the other one's going in my lane or in my pull camp, one of the two. So my question for you is, in general, as a support, when would it be better to put it in lane or you should put it in the pull camp?
If I'm versus if there's no invis hero in the game, and
Well, I'm talking
then I
about
would go
against
in the
Ricky.
so against Rookie, it's better in the lane because then you can't stay in the lane very well because he just gets around. Or is that not right?
Okay, so what does a sentry do against Ricky?
It reveals him.
But it like controls an area that he can't go in without being revealed, right?
Yeah,
So when do you put the sentry in the pole camp against Ricky?
I guess you don't unless he's contesting the pill.
What if your primary job in that lane, because you can't really fight the lane, is to pull, and he's the one continuously stopping you from pulling?
So it would go beside the camp.
It would go by next to the camp. So the emphasis of the sentry is that it
Okay.
controls a specific area, and you need to think about going into the lane. What area do I need to control against this Ricky? Is it the lane or is it the pull camp? Right. So like sometimes as a carry, I don't really care if Ricky keeps popping out of invis. Like as long as the lane's near my tower and
Okay.
like I can CS decently, and then like maybe you buy dust at like 3 minutes into the game, and then we kill the guy. You know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
I can't stand it if the guy's poking at me and the lane's out here and you can't pull because there's a ward there or, whatever. So when it comes to pulling, I've talked about this with a lot of supports. Do you know when you choose to pull or not?
If the lane's in a position where my carry can't CS properly.
Basically, I say to myself, if we have 2 heroes here based on where the lane is, right? Based on where the lane is, if we have 2 heroes against their 2 heroes, is that good? If the answer is no, you pull, right? So, like, if the lane's right next to your tower and you can't fight them anyway, might as well just pull. If the lane's out here and you can fight them, why pull, right? Like,
Yeah.
just because the lane's here doesn't mean you pull, right? So the only reason the lane position matters is because it changes like certain dynamics of the lane, meaning like certain lanes you're perfectly happy if it's right here, but you're not happy at all if it's right here, right? So in that case, if you care about lane equilibrium, you'll know when the lane goes out here, I'm going to pull. So generally speaking, going into a lane as a support, I think to myself, when's it good for us? And like, when should I pull, if ever? Because there's some lanes where you just never pull. Like it's bad to pull because if it's
Yeah.
2v2, you win, but your carry loses 2v1, then you should not pull, right? Because you're actually making it worse for your carry by pulling. So these are all just things to think about. And the reason why I'm emphasizing this right now, why do you think I'm talking about this so long?
About the position of the ward because
You just placed 2 sentries to try to kill the guy for first blood. Does that
yeah.
fucking matter, right? Like,
No, like as soon as I placed the second sentry, it was just like, why did I do that? It was just so
but
bad.
you should buy these items. And the reason why being AFK or like being AFK mentally that I talk to all these 4K players about, all these like even 6K players, is think about why you bought the damn sentries, right? Like, what am I using these for? Where are they going? You know? So it's like, if you're always a 4 or 5 position player, you can really get this like mental muscle memory going where it's like, do I need sentries? Like a lot of games, I don't even buy sentries. I learned like watching like Puppy and Fly that they don't really buy sentries at the start of the game. In this game, you have a Ricky, so it's a little bit different. But like, they usually buy a sentry either with the bounty rune gold or like later, depending on the game. So it's like if you have a clear cut reason to buy one, then suddenly you know when to buy it and you know what you're doing with it, right? So it's like now you just don't have a sentry for the lane. That shouldn't even be a consideration for you. But what happens is you don't think about it before this situation happens. And then when the situation happens, you see a Ricky barely escaping with like 200 health and you like, panic react and put a sentry down. So the way you prevent yourself from doing that kind of stuff is by continuously reminding yourself of what your job in the game is, why you bought a specific item. You know what I'm saying? So it's like such a basic lesson in this part of the game, but it's something that actually applies for the entire game. It's just like as the game goes on, the decision becomes more and more complicated, even at the support role where like the warding positions and all that kind of stuff becomes even more complicated. So I only went into a lot of depth because this is a mistake that can be prevented from like ever happening. So, okay. So it's an awkward spot, but let's see how it plays out. You have
Can
three
I ask
here.
a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there any way to make the quality of this screen share any better?
No. Some people it's bad. Where do you live?
UK.
Yeah, okay, that kind of makes sense. I've had it be bad occasionally with people from other regions. So my stream's on like 5-second delay. If you want to just watch the stream,
Okay,
if I have to stop. So what you can do actually is you can mute me on here and like on the call. And then just listen on the stream itself so you can actually see what I'm seeing live. And if you have a question, just chime in, and it'll be a little bit awkward in the sense that like I won't like you'll do it when I'm probably talking because we're on like a little bit of a delay here, but don't feel bad to just chime in if you have a question. So
that's
cool.
One sec.
So yeah, just let me know when you're good to go.
Okay, I think I'm good to go.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's get it going. So we have Alchemist Crystal Maiden against what looks like... Is there a lot of solo off lanes in your bracket? I know it's going to be a delayed answer, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so...
It's just like nobody knows what to do.
Okay.
So this game I got the Crystal Maiden and then they just couldn't... I don't know, we just picked CM.
So the way I look at this is, what are your two options in this stage in the game? And I'm just going to answer because, to prevent time. Your options are